What's up, A-Team? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here and want to become part of the best team, the A-Team, click that subscribe button, leave a comment, and also rate this video before you leave. So today I'm having a rotisserie chicken and fries, but not just any fries. We're going to turn these into poutine, which I've never had before. So I have these cheese curds here. I'm hoping that they melt. So the fries are hot. I reheated them in my air fryer. And then I have some brown gravy. Look at that. Oh my God. This looks so good. I've had a few people request for me to try poutine. And it looks so freaking good. Should I just pour all of this? I don't know. What the heck? I'll just pour it all. It's gonna be some saucy fries. Today I am drinking Jamaica. I've had it before. It's just the kind that you get in the package. So let's try this. Come on. Okay. I'm just gonna have to. I put it in my little toaster oven so the skin would crisp up a bit. Okay, we're just gonna use our hands on this. I'm gonna dip it in the gravy. For the gravy, I used McCormick. I think that's the brand. I used McCormick gravy. The kind that you just add water or broth to. Alright. Ooh, the cheese did soften up a bit. Alright, let's try this. That's really good. I think the cheese is too cold for it to melt. So I'm a little bummed about that, but it'll be fine. Still tastes good. Okay, so I feel like I need some green. Oh well. Today, since it's Tuesday, tea for Tuesday, tea for true crime. I love true crime. So I've been wanting to do a series of where I talk about true crime cases. Just because that's what I'm into. When I sit down to watch TV, that's typically what I go for, is true crime. I'm that girl that watches Snapped. On Oxygen, I watch 48 Hours. ID Discovery. So yeah, it kind of freaks my husband out sometimes, but I find them so fascinating, and I don't know. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about a case that's recent. It happened just recently. A lot of you may already know about it. It's the Chris Watts case. It's all over YouTube right now because there's so much footage from the police body cams, and there's the interrogation room, the interviews, his lie detector test, everything. I have been following this case and reading up on it and watching all of the videos as well as other people's theories of why he could have done it. For about, I don't know, a month now, maybe a little over a month. So, Chris Watts and his wife were married for 8 years. I think it was actually their 8-year anniversary. Shanann Watts was her name. They had a 3 and a 4-year-old. Bella was 4 and Celeste was 3. She went by Cece. They called her Cece for short. Shanann was a distributor for Thrive, which is, I guess they sell like fitness or like these patches that give you energy. And I think they help you lose weight. I don't know. But she was a distributor for them. I believe they did pretty good. They lived in a beautiful house in Colorado, Frederick, Colorado, which is a small town, I think, outside of Denver. So what she would do, she would go on Facebook Live a lot. I think she did a lot of her like promoting of her business and stuff online through Facebook. She was also 15 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. Who they were going to name Nico. Shanann would always go on business trips. I think they were paid for by the company that she worked for. Chris would also go with her sometimes. So it seemed like she was always traveling. She was always going somewhere. And this was 2018. So, I believe in July, Shanann took the girls. Her and her girls went to go visit her parents, who live, I believe, in North Carolina, for a 5-week vacation. Chris stayed home. Chris worked in the oil field. I'm not sure exactly what his occupation was, but he worked in the oil field for Anadarko Oil Company, I think. He stayed home and then later joined them for, I think, the last week. Well, when Chris showed up for vacation, Shanann noticed that Chris was different. He was more cold to her, didn't really want to talk to her, just a completely different person. And we know this because her text messages were released from her phone and she would confide in her closest friends about what was going on in her marriage. It was so out of left field. He was out of character. From videos, you can see that he was a very loving father. He played with his girls. You know, pictures. They seem like a happy, you know, the perfect family. So fast forward to August. Shanann goes on a business trip, and this whole time she's like trying to work it out with Chris, trying to like spark the romance again, because he's claiming that now he doesn't want the baby when Chris is the one that wanted the baby to try and help mend their marriage, which we all know babies can only complicate things when you're already on the rocks in your marriage. But so he's now saying he didn't want the baby. He doesn't want the baby. Doesn't touch her, doesn't want to kiss her, doesn't want to have, you know, doesn't want to sleep with her. He's sleeping in the basement. Sometimes she's sleeping on the couch, and we know this because of her texts to her friends. So the weekend of August, I think 11th, 10, 11, and 12th, she went to a business meeting, which I think was in Florida. And she confided in her friends and let her friends know, you know, their marriage, you know, they're trying to work it out. She was buying self-help books for herself and for him and contemplating going to counseling. She wrote him a letter talking about her feelings and how much she loved him and how much she misses him and his touch and everything, because at this point they're like not communicating at all. So one of her closest friends, Nikki, drops her off from the airport August 13th, early in the morning. She is seen from the neighbor's camera. Well, actually, I don't think the neighbor's camera actually picked up Shanann returning. Actually saw Shanann, but it captured her friend's car at the time when Shanann was dropped off at home. According to text messages, Chris was at home sleeping because they were texting because her flight was delayed, and she was letting him know that she was going to be late. Chris had also sent her a picture of one of the girls because she requested it. Chris said that the girls were sleeping, but he sent Shanann a picture of one of the girls at a barbecue. Now, if your wife asks you for a picture of the kids and is asking if they're sleeping, wouldn't you just take a picture of them right then and there and send it to them? Anyway, so Shanann gets home at about 1:50 in the morning. The neighbor's camera also picks up Chris leaving for work at about 5 in the morning. On this day, he backed his truck up into the garage, and it took him about 50 minutes to load up his truck with all of his work stuff. And then off he went to work. Okay, so this is now August 13th, 5 o'clock in the morning. So right around 5:50, 6 o'clock, Chris leaves. You see Chris pulling out of his driveway, leaving for work. So Nikki, who is Shanann's friend, she is the one that dropped off Shanann at home from the airport the night before. So I guess whatever happened over the weekend, Shanann was distraught, wasn't eating, and so Nicole was worried for her. Nicole had also texted Shanann earlier that morning when she arrived home and Shanann didn't respond. I'm not sure what time that was. But, so, Nikki, I think it's Nicole, but she goes by Nikki, so we're just going to say Nikki. She's calling and texting Shanann and not getting any response. This is Monday morning, August 13th. And so that prompts her to head over to the house. She gets to Shanann's home because Shanann also had a doctor's appointment, so she wanted to know how the doctor's appointment went. Shanann's not answering. So Nikki is texting Chris, "Hey, have you heard from Shanann? She's not answering." Chris said that before he left for work, Shanann told him that she was taking the girls on a play date at a friend's house. Nikki shows up to Shanann's house. She happens to know the code to get in through the door because they have like a digital lock. So she unlocks the door, but there's a latch on the inside that's keeping the door from opening all the way. And Nikki said that she could see that Shanann's shoes that she wears all the time were still there. Her car was in the garage with the car seats in it still. As far as Nikki knows, every time she's gone over to Shanann's house, that lock on the inside has never been on. So it was a little odd for her that, one, the lock was on. Two, her Shanann's car was still there. Her shoes that she wears every day is still there. And the kids' car seats are in the car. Nikki is the one that ends up calling the police. The police show up, and this is where the start of the videos happen. It's all recorded from their body cams. The first time the cops showed up, Nikki was there with, I'm not sure who it was that was with her, but Nikki was there along with another male, and I think her daughter. Chris is still yet to, show up at the house. So everything from that point on forward is documented. You can see all the videos that are here on YouTube. Everything. So Chris shows up. He eventually shows up. It's not right away. They're waiting for a while. The first cop that showed up on scene, he went around and knocked on all the doors and windows just to make sure that Shanann potentially, if she potentially passed out, he was banging hard on the windows. And if somebody was in there, to alert them and let them know, if you're okay or whatever. But there was no noise. So Chris eventually shows up. The first thing he does when he shows up is he goes to his back seat in the truck on the passenger side. I don't know if he grabs something or if he's moving something down. I don't know what it is, but you can see it on the video. And then he runs up and shakes the hands cop. And then he goes inside through the garage, looks at Shanann's car, opens the passenger side front door. It looks like he grabs something and then goes inside. He's in there for a couple of minutes before he comes over to the front door to let the cops and Nikki in. If it was me and your wife and kids were missing, wouldn't you be panicking? Like frantic? Not Chris. He was calm. He was just like he was letting some friends into his house come check out his house like they were going to buy it or something. So, you know, the police come, the detectives come. Eventually, they go over to the neighbor's house to see the video recording that his camera captured. And at this time, you can see this is when Chris starts kind of panicking, because he probably is thinking, they're going to see me, you know, they're going to see me loading my kids' bodies and my wife's body into my truck. He's frantic. He's like putting his hands over his head. It looks like he starts to sweat. And he's just like, he's not facing the TV. He's just like looking over, and you can tell that something's off and he's panicking inside. So they get done doing that. He goes on to do, I think the next day, a interview with the local news station. That's the same day that the cadaver dogs were brought in. So eventually he gets called into the police station to do a lie detector test, just to rule him out once and for all. Just to clear his name, pretty much. He is there for hours. A long time he's there. He does the lie detector test. Again, all of the interview, all the lie detector test, it's all online. You can go search it up, check it out. He failed. Okay? He failed. At this point, the FBI is involved. They had been involved before he took the lie detector test. They had body analysis detectives, or I don't know what they're called. But you can just tell. The interview that he did with the news station, the way he acted when the day his wife first was reported missing, he never once cried. He never really showed any emotion. In fact, the whole time, he was like sucking in his lips, had his arms like crossed, like self-soothing, and almost looked like he had a smirk on his face, which is a typical tale of like somebody who did something and basically thinking he's going to get away with the crime that he committed. So he failed. After he failed, he tries for a few minutes to convince the detectives that, he was telling the truth, whatever. They weren't buying it. So his dad had flown from North Carolina and basically said, "Can I talk to my dad?" And they're like, "Sure, if you're going to tell your dad, the truth." His dad comes in. And Chris ends up basically saying that Shanann came home. They had a conversation, a heated conversation, or an emotional conversation, I think that's what he said, about separating. She didn't like it, went into a rage, and, she didn't like it, and then he went downstairs to get breakfast or something for work, and then he heard a commotion upstairs. So he went back up to the room, and in the baby monitor, he saw Shanann with her hands over Cece, strangling her. So he ran in a rage, he did the same thing to Shanann and strangled her because she had strangled her kids. That was his story. But that's not what happened. So He goes to court. Oh, during this time, once he confesses, he's still adamant that he killed Shanann because she killed the girls. And he panicked, didn't know what to do. And he loaded the bodies into the backseat of his truck, which is why it took him 50 minutes to load up his truck that morning. And you can see him on the camera going back and forth from the house 3 different times. And then loading a gas can into the back of his truck and taking off. Another thing that was interesting in the video is that before he left for work, he was wearing really baggy pants that obviously looked like they were too big for him, and a black shirt. When he showed up to the house a few hours later that morning, when Nikki had called the cops, he was wearing a gray shirt and pants that looked more fitted. So, he confesses to the cops. Basically, Chris confessed. He told the detectives where to find their bodies. Cece and Bella were each in a separate oil tank, and Shanann's body was buried in a shallow grave that he had dug up and buried her, and she was 15 weeks pregnant with their son, Nico. So, once he told them that, he showed them on a picture. One of the detectives went out, and I believe she went and told the authorities, this is where the bodies were, and I'm pretty sure they got right on it. Come to find out, he was having an affair. He was having an affair with a girl, Nicole Kessinger, who also worked for the company Anadarko. There's emails that they exchanged before they started texting. And remember I told you Shanann went on vacation for 5 weeks while Chris stayed back? That's where Nicole and Chris, the next step in their relationship, there was nude photos of Nicole found on his phone in a secret app that was disguised by a calculator, but it held naked photos of him or of her. There was text messages. So that's the reason why Chris was so cold and distant from Shanann, because there was another woman. Chris told Nicole that he was separated. Nicole she claimed she had no idea about the fact that Shanann was pregnant, otherwise she wouldn't have been with him. And she was also interviewed. Her interview can be seen and listened to on YouTube, but she deleted all of her text messages before she showed up to the police station to give her interview. She also did a phone interview too, but she claims that she did not know. That was Chris's motive for annihilating his family. There was another girl in the picture. She's young. He was in love with this new lifestyle, starting over new, getting rid of his old family and starting over new. The weekend before Chris murdered his family, Nicole was searching for Shanann for hours. So she would have seen that she was pregnant. I think even a year before her and Chris started having an affair, she searched for Shanann. So I think Nicole has a lot more to do with this case than she's letting on. That's just in my opinion, just speculation. But from what I've seen and read, and her interview, I feel like she lied about some stuff, and I would like to see her go under take a lie detector test. But yeah, so basically that was Chris's motive. But when he confessed to the murders, the cops confronted him, the detectives confronted him about it, and basically he denied at first that he was having an affair. And then once he realized that they knew, he fessed up and basically said, I don't want her name out in the news. I don't want her to be involved in any of this. She had nothing to do with it. You know, he was very adamant about that. Okay, so now comes time for the sentencing. He didn't go to trial or anything because he had already hadn't done his confession. So the day that he failed the lie detector test, he stayed in the custody of the police because he was there for, I believe, a few days before they actually put him in handcuffs and took him to get booked and stuff. In November was the sentencing. Now in the state of Colorado, the death penalty is on the table for punishment. I don't know what you call it. But he basically made a plea deal, and his parents also begged the prosecutors, as long as it was okay with Shanann's family, that the death penalty be off of the table if Chris confesses to all of the murders and not just Shanann's. If he confesses to all of the murders, then the death penalty be off of the table. That way, his parents were saying that way at a later date in time when the time is right, Chris, when he's willing to come forward and explain everything, why he did it and how he did it, because still nobody quite knows when exactly he killed the girls. You know, if he did it right before he left, if he did it right when Shanann showed up, walked through the door. So yeah, that was their whole reasoning. So Chris pled guilty to all 4 counts of murder because Shanann was pregnant, so that's the fourth death. He was also charged with tampering with a deceased body, 3 individual sentences because the bodies were not placed together. They were all separated. So that was 3 different times that he had to physically dispose of the bodies the way he did. So he got charged for that. I believe he ended up getting 5 consecutive life sentences, and he'll be in jail for the rest of his life. I really hope that he decides to come forward and say exactly what happened. I really hope that Nicole is being honest, but a part of me thinks that she had a lot to do with it. Maybe not physically, but mentally, verbally. Maybe she said some things that put in Chris's mind like he needed to get rid of his family. So yes, that is it. I hope you guys like this kind of video. I'm pretty full. It was kind of long, so if you're here with me to the end, thank you guys so much. If you guys like this, I will continue to do true crime. If not, I might, if you guys don't like this, then I might do a second channel because I really like true crime videos. Like, I've been into it ever since I was a kid. I've always liked mystery and I've always liked it. Even though sometimes it scares the crap out of me, I still like it. I'm into it. I think because it's honest, it's the truth. It's not some fictional story that's being made up, and I don't know. But anyways, I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. If you guys like this video, let me know if you want me to do a video on somebody else, a different crime that was done. It doesn't have to be murder. It could be like missing persons cases, just true crime stories. Yeah, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys so much. It was so good eating with you guys and telling the story to you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.